Hello guys, in this video we're going to be building a full stack Amazon clone app. It's more like an e-commerce application, just a little bit resemblance with Amazon, and we are going to be adding a full stack capabilities inside of it. Firstly, the user can be able to register and log in, so there is an ability or a feature that the user can register or log in with the credentials, and you can see how smooth we did it with React Navigation 5. Then the user can log in with the credentials. And when the user logs in, it's going to bring the user to the list screen. So this list screen is where all the products are listed. So if you're logging as an administrator, you can be able to see these delete buttons. Actually, I'm an administrator, that's why you can be able to see these buttons. And you can see some items that we added. So let's go ahead and add 1 or 2 items. I'm just gonna click on that, and I can just come here and say new item added. And then we can add the item price. Then this image here can be coming from direct upload from the phone or the image you got from a URL. Then the description can be the new item added description. And we are gonna hit enter because I'm using the submit editing to actually make the request. Immediately we hit the enter button of our Android phone. So you can see the new item added here. And when we click on that, it's going to take us to the detail screen where we are gonna see the detail of the item. And we can actually add to cart or we can edit the item. So let's go ahead and add to cart. So I'm just gonna click on this. And whenever I add to cart, other items still remain the way they are. But whenever I click on add to cart, you see the keys change, or the bags change. Then whenever I come over to my cart, you can see the 2 items I added to the cart, and I can just check out. And when I check out and hit on continue shopping, it's going to clear my cart and return the items to be the way they are. Then when I click on this, I'm gonna log out. So this is what we are gonna be building. You can log in or you can register as a new user. We're gonna be building from zero to scratch, both the design and the back-end capabilities. And we're gonna be using MongoDB to actually handle the database part of it. So let's get started. So don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button before you continue. Before we begin, we have to go over through the couple of dependencies that we are using. The first one is the Shopify Restyle. The second one is the native base. It's more like when you are using the view and the text from React Native. Then over here we have a reanimated redash. So in the future we are going to be adding some cool animation. Then we have the React Native shared element, and also we have the React Navigation shared element for version 5 shared element transition, which we are going to do in the later version of the series. Then we have React Native matters for we are going to use the viewport to actually give us a perfect size and a perfect width and a perfect scale for each font size. And we have React Navigation hooks that comes with React Navigation 5. So that's what we are using. And there is nothing much here. Also, we have React Native SVG. So React Native SVG is for us to be able to make use of SVG files, but in this video we made use of normal icons, so you don't have to worry about that. So go over to the GitHub repository. You are going to be go over to the description. You're going to see the boilerplate repository that you're going to start with. So for the icons, you're going to see the icons. I'm going to arrange the icons and put them in a blog post, and I'm going to make available the icons on the description as well. So let's get started. So the first thing we have to do is to go over to our helpers. In order to make use of the React Native size matters, we have to create a method that is going to be scaling our font independent of the screen, or depending on the screen or the device, which is going to give us a perfect font size. So the way we can do that is to just make use of a width and a height. So I'm going to use a maximum width here of 400, and I'm also going to use a maximum height here of 640. So of course, if you're using these screens, it means that you're using an old phone, so we want something that can give us a perfect width and a height using the ratio or the dimensions. So we have to now export something like a custom font, but before that we have to create something called big font. So for the big font is to notify us that this is actually a big font. Then we are going to now export a cons called custom fonts, which is going to take in the size the size happens to be a number, the size of the font you want to apply, then we're going to return the width of the screen. We're going to check if it is greater than the maximum width. All we just have to do is to make use of the moderate scale, then we put in the size and multiply it by the 80% of that font size, or let's say the big font, then if not, we just return that size. So let's say you put a font size of 23 and the font size of 23 happens to be very, very big. All you just have to do is to just use the 80% of that font size and still give us a perfect font scaling. Then back here in the theme is where we are going to be putting down everything that we are going to be using. So I already have the colors here. You can find this in the GitHub repo. Just go ahead and download that. So for here, we're going to have, for the small, we're going to use the moderate scale with 8, for the medium moderate scale of 16. Then we have for the large moderate scale of 24, and also for the extra large moderate scale of 40. Then for the border ID, we have the small one to be moderate scale of 4. So let me just go ahead and copy everything here. I'm just gonna paste that. So for the medium, we have moderate scale of 10. Here we have 25, and here we have 75. So let me scroll down a little bit, or let me go ahead and increase this font size a little bit. Then for the text variant, we have the title, the body, and the button. So for the title, we are going to have a font size with the custom fonts. So the maximum font size for the title is 35. We are going to specify a font family. So the font family, we are going to be using the Rubik bold. So this font, you can actually see it on the boilerplate. So it's just that we use React Native config to actually locate the path of our font. So inside the source folder, you can see all our fonts. Then we run an npx React Native link. Then it actually linked the fonts for us. Then we have the color to be white. Then for the body, font size of custom fonts, we have 16. I think I just have to copy this as well, paste that. For the but we are gonna add one more thing, the line height, which is custom fonts of 25. Then here we have regular, and the color is the text color. So for the button, we have font size of custom font of 15, font family, Rubik bold, and color of text. Then lastly, we have the small title. For the small title, we have the font size of custom fonts of 16. Then we have the font family of Rubik medium. And lastly, we have the color of gray. So we are not going to add breakpoints. We don't actually need breakpoints in this tutorial. So I'm just going to save that. And you can see exactly what I did here is exactly what it returned. So that's how we can use React Native Restyle to move ahead. So the next thing we have to do is to go over to the component, product, and then we can go over to the product list. So inside our product list is exactly all these things that you see here is exactly what we rendered over here. So I'm just gonna clear everything inside there. So I'm just gonna create that and bring back a box. So the box is gonna have a flex of 1. Then inside our box, we are gonna have another box. We're gonna give this a height of the screen height multiplied by 0.6. we're gonna first bring in some component, but before we do that, let's kind of give this a flex direction of column because it's going to contain multiple components. Then we have to align the items to the center. Then we have to give it a background color. Let me just give it an orange background color so that you can actually see what we are doing. So you can see exactly what we are doing, because you want the list container, which we are going to bring in, to actually take the remaining width. So let me just go ahead and bring that list container over here. So let me save that. And then inside our box, I'm just gonna bring in the product header. So the product header accepts a param called the back. So the back is just to activate the back button in case you want a back button inside that current component you're actually rendering. So I'm just gonna bring it down and let's save. Right now, let's go over to the product header. Right now, inside our product header, we have this null. We are gonna replace that with the box, and it's gonna have a flex direction of column. So guys, the way I pronounce things may be somehow because I'm not a British guy, so try to understand that. Then we are gonna justify everything to the center, and we also have to align the items to the center. So inside the box, we are gonna just have a ternary operator to actually notify us whether the back button is active. If it's active, you're gonna use the back icon. Then for the back icon, we just have to pass the size. So let me just pass the size of 25. So grab this in from the repository on the description. If not, you're gonna return the hamburger with a size of 20, and think with a size of 20. Then we're gonna close that, and beneath that you're gonna bring in the Amazon logo with a size of 70. And lastly, we have to bring in the key. Actually, this is not key, this is supposed to be a bag, but I misspelled something, so let's just set it to 20, and we can set the unpressed to be the go to cart. So this go to cart function is exactly what you see at the top here. So after that, you can just think making a mistake somewhere. I didn't close this properly. So we can just format and save, and when we save, we are supposed to get that design we just applied. So let me just go over here and save that. So you can see we have this, but it doesn't look very neat, and we are gonna find a way to fix that immediately. So the way we can fix that is come over to the product header. So because we are actually making use of this column direction, we have to give this a justify content of space between, not actually center. So you have to replace it to space between, and let's save and check back. So I'm actually using the direct React native, that's why the refreshing may seem a little bit delayed, but there is no issue with that. And let's go ahead and give this a width. I also forgot to make this a row. So yeah, so you can see icons are perfectly placed, and we can now go ahead and change this to white. So when we change it to white, we get that nice looking interface. So the next thing we have to work on now is the product search. So let me just go ahead and bring it down. So it doesn't accept any parameters. So going to the component product search. So inside the product search, we are gonna bring in a box. So inside this box, we're gonna just give it a flex direction of row, and also we have to give it a margin top of small. Then we have to justify the content to space between, and inside that, lastly, we can give it an align items to center, and inside these, we just have to bring in our custom text input. So, and it's gonna accept a placeholder of what are you searching for, or let's say what are you looking for, and I think that is better. So let's save that and check our application. You can see we have that nice looking button. So you can also check this button on the description. You're gonna see a link you're gonna click to actually have this nice looking button. So we can even type some text inside it. So that's how we can do it. So the next one is the product card. So let's go ahead and bring in the product card by closing this. I'm just gonna bring in the product card. So let's save that and open our product card. Then we have to bring in the box first. We are gonna give it a width. So if you can observe, in the first place when we started the application, the card was not a full width. So that's because we used the width and we only got the 85% of that width. We also have a background color of primary. So let me just go ahead and let's say add something, but first let's give it a height of 163. So let's say inside here I'm gonna add let me just go ahead and complete the styling. So we have background color of primary. We can align the items to baseline. Then we can align itself to the center so that it can be on the center position. And any item that overflows, we're gonna hide that. And we can just add a custom style, because these values you want to use are not actually in our theme. So I'm just gonna add a margin top of 20 and a border radius of 20. So inside here, we're gonna now add that image. So for the image, you're gonna have a source. So the image source is the products. I think there's an issue here. I think products, we have the source. Okay. It's just one product card image, and we're gonna give it a style to take. I don't know why these styles are not actually working. Then we're gonna make that image actually take the full width and height of that current container. So you can see this is exactly what we have over here, and there's nothing much for now. So let me clear that text. So the next one is the list container. Now the list container, we're gonna do some couple of big works, but since we already have the boilerplate, it's gonna simplify things for us. So let's go ahead and bring in a box. Let me go ahead and close the product card. So for the box, it's gonna have a flex of 1 to make use of the remaining width that is available, because the upper part of this is already making use of 60% of the width. So this is going to make use of the remaining width and the remaining height, and it's going to have a padding of medium. And here we are going to give it a style, because the values don't exist in our theme, and give it a border top left radius of 50. Then we're gonna give it a background color of gray. So if you follow the layer, you're gonna see how we define these colors. Then lastly, we have to justify the content to the center. So that's how we can add that this part. So let me just minimize this. You can see we have something over here, but doesn't look really good. So let's go ahead and I think I can even reduce this to 40. Or let's say 50. I think 50 will be better. Okay, we have a very good space at the bottom. So inside this box, we are gonna have another box, because it's going to contain our item, and give it a flex direction of row. Align the items to the center. Justify the content to the center. And also we are gonna give this a height. And so inside there, so inside this box is going to contain all our categories. So guys, we've actually done a lot of things. Why don't we just start this and check on the design that we are working on. So let me just show you guys the design we are actually using. So I think this should load fast, and you can see this is exactly what we are working on, and you can see on the screen. So we are on this part right now. We want to add all these categories, so let's go ahead and do that. And inside this box, we're gonna have the effects box, which is the first category box, and it's going to have a flex direction of column. Align the items to center and also give it a margin of small. And also give it a background color of sea gray. So inside that box, we're gonna have a text with a font size of 13 and also a color of primary and also a variant of small title. And inside that we have the wood. So under this wood, let me check that design once more. You can see these little dots over here. So all these icons are available for you. So I'm just gonna add, okay, this one is an image. We already have those images. So I'm just gonna have a source of dots with a style of, let me go ahead and close this. So first, it's gonna take an image style that we defined, that image, and it's gonna have an opacity of 1 because we're gonna hide the other icons. So let's go ahead and save that. I think we should see something that looks really nice. Okay, as we proceed, this is going to adjust automatically because if you kind of observe, we justified all the items here to center, and I think I forgot to align the items as well to the center. So we justified everything here to the center. So I think, let me remove this and save. You can see automatically it goes to the top, but don't worry, all this is going to automatically align as we move on. So we have added the first category. I can just grab this, copy that, paste it 2 times, 1, 2, and clear all these white spaces. So in case you have any white space, get rid of that. So the next one is called electronic devices, and it's gonna have an opacity of, I think I have to get rid of this opacity because the opacity is in our image style.image. And the last one is glasses. Also get rid of the opacity and let's save. So automatically you can see the text, but the icons or the dots are not actually showing. So that's how we can handle that. So going back at the top, I think we have to add a background color. So guys, I didn't actually know why the color didn't change initially, but everything seemed to be working fine. So we still have the same result. So the next thing now is to create our item list, which is going to list out the item at the bottom here. So if you can check, after these categories, we have the item list. So that's the next thing we are going to be doing. So at the bottom there, we are going to just give it a little space and bring in the item list container. And let's save that and go over to the item list. So for the item list, inside here, we're going to bring in a box. It's going to take the full remaining position. So if you can recall, we are also using this box is a height of 50. So the remaining weight automatically is going to be used by the flex of 1. We also have to, let's just give it a background color of sea gray. So let's save that and nothing changes. Then inside here, we're gonna have a flat list from React Native. So let me go ahead and close that. And it's going to have a content container style. So inside this content can justify the content to center and also give it a flex direction of column because the contents must scroll vertically. So let me just go ahead and close that properly. So guys, don't forget to hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. Now we have to hide the scroll view lines. So show vertical scroll view, can set that to false. And also we can give it a data of all items. And then we have the number of columns to be 2 so that it can list out properly. Then we have the render item. So for the render item, we can be able to access our props. So inside here I can get the item, and I think I can also destructure the name, the source, the price. Then here I can just give this any so that we can get rid of that type error. Then inside this callback, we are gonna return, let me just return null to get rid of that. Or let's just go ahead and return a JXS with a fragment from React Native, from React.js itself. Then this fragment is going to contain a component called items. So these items, you already created it and it's at the top part, and it's going to accept some couple of parameters, the name, the source, and the price. Then whenever you use a flat list, you must give it a key extractor. So the key extractor must contain the name, and you have to return that name. So it must not actually be a name, but you must, anything you return here, make sure it is a string. And let's go over to our items at the top before we go ahead and save that. So for each item, it's going to actually look like this, but we are going to add touchable opacity, which is going to navigate to the details of that item. So let's go ahead, and first thing we have to wrap this with touchable without feedback, I mean. So inside here is going to accept and unpress. And inside that is going to contain a box. So with a flex of 1. We don't even need the flex because it's an item. We can give it a weight of 157 and also give it a height of 180, and we can give it a background color of white. Then for the borders of those shapes, we can just use a border weight of the style sheet.hairline width. So let me just go ahead and save this, and you can see those items over here. So it actually looks very, very dirty. It doesn't look very neat. And I think, okay, we already have that set. So what we can do next right now is, let's just go ahead and complete the styling. Give it a margin top of medium, a border radius of medium as well, and also a padding of medium. We also have to justify the content to the flex stats. And lastly, we can give it a margin. We have the margin of small. So I know it's going to affect the margin top. So, but let's just allow it because it still looks presentable the way it is. So you can see we have these shapes that we have here. So each of these shapes. Now let's go ahead and add the images. So the images are still going to be very simple to add. We're going to add another box with a height of 70. And inside this, we are also going to give it an overflow of hidden. And we also have to align the items to the center. Justify the content as well to the center. So let me format that and scroll a little bit down. Then inside here, one thing we have to add is the padding, because you don't want each content inside, let's say the image, to touch the borders. And then we can bring in the image, which is going to have a source of the source that we pass through our flat list and a resize mode of contain. And we're gonna have a height of 50. So let's go ahead and save that. And you can see those images that we have in our design over here. Most of the images are actually here. So you can see we have a height of 70, and this actually helps our image to contain within that box. So beneath that box, we are gonna have a flex of 1, to make use of the remaining width and height, then we're gonna have the text with a variant of title, and it's going to have a color of primary, margin top of small, font size is usually number of 13, then a margin bottom of small. Then inside here we're gonna have the name, so let me just format that properly and scroll a little bit down. Then beneath that we're gonna have the star images, so it's just gonna be a simple source with stars, and beneath that as well we're gonna have a box, one last box that's going to display the, I think, let's check that design. It's going to display the price and also the bag icon. So let me just scroll a little bit down, and we have the flex direction of row because it's 2 items in one box. We're gonna justify the content to space between. We want them to touch the edge of each. Then we have the margin bottom of small and also margin top of small. And inside that we're gonna have the text, which is the price. So I'm just gonna put down the price over here, and let's go ahead and style that with a variant of body. And for here we have the key. That's, like I said, I made a mistake to give this a key. Why this is supposed to be a bag? So let's go ahead and just add 20 over there, and let's save and check. And you can see in our design we have the price and also the bag distance. So we are actually done with the product list. The only thing remaining now is for us to do the login screen and also the registration screen, which is not a big problem for us as well. So let's go over to authentication, login, and let's scroll a little bit down. So the login screen, I already have it, so I'm not gonna do that again. But for the registration screen, we are gonna type it down and also do it quickly. So for us to actually see this login screen, one thing I forgot to mention earlier was that we use the React Navigation 5. Maybe I forgot. But over here, we're gonna be making use of the auth. So the route name is called auth, and it's going to accept the auth navigator, so which is the auth navigator. So let's go ahead and save that, and our app, let's just go ahead and refresh our application. So when you hit on your Metro bundler, just hit arrow. Now we can't make use of that because this initial route, we have to set that to auth. And let's refresh once more. And you can see the login screen. So right away, let's go ahead and work on the registration screen. So we're gonna quickly bring down a box. Now inside that box is going to have a flex of 1, and it's going to have a background color of primary. So let me just break this down and make it look proper. So give it a padding of extra large and justify all the content to the center. And also we have to align the items to the center. And inside here we're gonna have another box. But this box is going to have a height of the screen height, but we're making use of the 60% of that screen height. Then we're gonna have also a width, because we don't want it to touch the edges of our screen. So we can just say the width multiplied by 0.9. That's the 90% of the screen width. And let me just break this down. So I prefer breaking it down so that you can see it clearly. We also have to give the border radius. So if you can recall, we have some border radius that we define. I'm just gonna give it a large border radius and a background color of white. So let me just go ahead and give this a background color of primary so that you can actually see what we are doing. So you can see it looks, doesn't look really good, but let me just give it white. I was thinking the other one was primary. So you can see the section we are working on. Then we're gonna give it a padding of large and also align all the items to the center. So that's how we can actually do that. Then inside here, we're gonna have a text with a variant of title and a color of primary. Then we have to give it a margin bottom of large. Inside here, we have to give it a sign up text, and we're gonna give this form text input. So this form text input, okay, is already available. We can just give it a placeholder of email. And let's just grab that again. For this one is password, but we can just add a secure text entry to make it look special. Then we're gonna have a button. So our button is going to accept the label of register. Then we're gonna give it a variant of primary. And lastly, we are gonna bring in the borderless button. So the borderless button is going to accept a style of margin top of 30 and on press of on login. So whenever we click on that on login, it's going to bring us to the login screen. So inside here, we're gonna have a text with a variant of small title and also a color of primary. And lastly, we're gonna just add a login over there. So let's go ahead and save. And you can see exactly what we have here. So that looks really like our login, but I just decided to show you how we can do it. So when we click on this, it brings us on the login, and when we click on this, it brings us on the sign up. So guys, that's how we are done with the UI. In the next part, we are going to be working on the back end with Node.js, and in the previous, in the later part, we are going to be working with Laravel 8 for PHP developers as well, to actually see how they can actually mix together technologies like React Native and Laravel. So guys, thank you for watching, and do make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. And if you wish to support me, you're gonna see my PayPal link and also my buy me a coffee link if you wish to buy me a coffee. So thank you once more, and make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. So see you on the next part.